I'm more of the cook, and he's more of the baker.
Yeah.
So
But
I like to create stuff, and I'm always just like, bringing it out, like, oh, this is like
You're good
whatever
with
cooking challenge or whatever.
he's good with like taking whatever ingredients are in the house and then constructing something that's really interesting out of that. Welcome to another episode of Sea View Circle. This is our recap podcast where we review our favorite TV shows and movies of the past, present, and possibly the future. And at the same time, we sort of rattle on about fashions and styles and vintage filming locations often lost to the decades. We do all this in service of our end goal of determining just how highbrow or lowbrow our viewing taste is.
If you're joining us for the first time, we'd like to make note that this is our final episode of our first season of our podcast, in which we've been covering Knots Landing Season 1, which is the longest running primetime serial of its era.
Now, it has been a minute since we've had a podcast, and it's going to be several more minutes or perhaps weeks until we actually dive into Season 2 of Knots Landing. So we thought we'd kind of tide you over with a little leftovers episode. This is all the stuff that we trimmed from our Season 1 wrap-up episode. We just felt was kind of not really relevant to our celebration of the 45th anniversary of Knots Landing.
And there has been so much going on in the last few weeks. I feel like it has actually changed some of the
content, for sure. Absolutely. And we've
and
actually both been sick. And we had the flu, we had norovirus. There's all this other stuff going on, the holidays, of course. So anyway, this is yeah. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So this is really just kind of like our little gilding the lily episode. This is really for like the diehard sea viewers out there, because there's going to be some content in here that is not necessarily Knots Landing related. This is like the DVD extra that you would only watch if you accidentally hit play all of the DVD menu.
I don't think you're gonna have Gen Zers who understand what you're talking about. I think we lost one whole chunk of an audience, probably.
I don't think we have any Gen Z viewers.
Well, maybe not. I guess I thought maybe that. Well, I know we got some Gen X.
Oh, we definitely
I've seen,
and some millennials.
Yeah.
Yes, and definitely some boomers. So we appreciate all of you for being here and going on this journey with us.
Now, before we start indulging in the leftovers, we have little reminders, as always. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by ringing the little bell there, or also to our podcast on Spotify.
Yes, I was going to say on Spotify now, I have actually changed some of the audio episodes over to the video versions for those that have them. So some of the earlier ones were only, audio only.
And as you know, this is all free to subscribe.
Subscribing is free.
It really helps us out so much. We have so much great content coming up, including we have shorts, if you haven't already noticed.
Pop it up over there on YouTube. Yeah.
And then please rate or like the individual episodes, or leave us comments and engagement, because it really helps us out so much with the channel.
Yeah, I was going to mention that we're also on Bluesky and on TikTok as well. Over on TikTok, we actually have some exclusive shorts, including clips of Joan Van Ark and Ted Shackelford covering the 1992 Rose Bowl parade.
Yeah, that is something you don't want to miss. Now, if you'd like to contact us with questions or comments, you may do so on the following platforms. Instagram, it's at seeviewcircle, SEEVIEW Circle. Or you can email us. We have a Gmail. It's seeviewcircle@gmail.com. Any question you may submit may lead to a further Untying the Knot segment.
Or they may end up in an extended segment like the one in our Season 1 wrap-up that we had back in December. Now, we went through a lot of questions from that trusty little peanut butter jar, remember?
Oh, I remember.
But there were a few that fell on the cutting room floor. And here they are for you now.
Peanut butter, let me count the ways.
I had a dime for every time you said that.
Do you listen to any podcasts yourselves? If so, what type of podcasts do you enjoy? Well, I'll let Brady take that one away, because he's more of the podcast king.
I do listen to podcasts. Since we started this, I don't get to watch as many, unfortunately, or listen to as many. But I can think of a couple that I really like. I've mentioned before in our podcast that I listen to Trenchcoat Cigar Peugeot, Wandering with Columbo, which is a great podcast that does kind of a similar vibe of what we do with Knots Landing, where they discuss the story, obviously. They discuss the director, the writing. They discuss the guest stars. And they also discuss all the vintage locations and the styles and fashion.
Okay.
So I would say it's an inspiration for
Okay.
Seaview Circle. So check that one out if you are a Columbo fan. We are huge Columbo fans.
What about Very Delta?
Very Delta is always a good watch.
Yeah, I like Very Delta.
That you can kind of have on in the background. You could also watch
Or
it.
what we do with the Very Delta sometimes, because it's on YouTube, and of course Delta work is very entertaining, and so sometimes what you just do is you break it up and like eat dinner and watch the first
While she's going off.
while she goes off for the first 20 minutes. You watch that while you're like kind of eating, so you can, you don't have to watch the whole time, but it's you getting everything in. So that's a fun one.
Yeah. I also really like a podcast called Misconduct. Okay, remember this. These are two Indian women who discuss female criminals in India.
Yeah.
They are so funny. You would think, what a specific topic. Why would I ever get to that? Well, I'll tell you how I got to it, because I was looking for additional content after watching Wild Wild Country, the documentary on Netflix about the sannyasins and
the Bhagwan.
Bhagwan. I wanted more Ma Sheila. More Ma Sheila. So I had found just a little search on Spotify and found the two-parter Misconduct podcast about Ma Sheila, and they do just huge deep dives with a lot of research about the media attention to these different cases and also the legal ramifications of all these different female criminals in India, which again, even though it's a very specific niche topic, just like our podcast, by the way. The way they deliver this stuff is so much fun, and they're so clever. And so you should look out for it. If you are into like true crime, this is like a different flavor of that, true crime concept. This is called Misconduct, MISS Conduct. They did 5 seasons. I think they're on a hiatus right now. Looking forward to more episodes of that.
Now, the one that I kind of enjoyed with you, and you probably know the title better than I do, but the Amy Bruni.
Oh, yes.
Haunted Road. Haunted Road.
Yes.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are
We
into
like ghosts.
ghost hunting, but I mean, Amy Bruni is one of those ghost hunters who is half of the show Kindred Spirits.
Yeah.
And she was originally on that Ghost Hunters program years ago.
million years ago.
So we used to watch that, and then, well, we always
It's
liked
fun
her.
because if we ever end up going to like a haunted location when we're on our travels, we can always just dial up Haunted Road. We know there's going to be an episode
we
that
just
talks
did
about
that the other day when we had to go to San Diego,
Right.
And so there was this location across the street
The
from
Whaley House.
the Whaley House from
Yeah.
this restaurant we were eating at, and I was like, I know that place. And then it was great because you found the podcast, and so as we were driving home, we got to listen to hear all about the Whaley House. This is another viewer question. It says, how did you get the cool jingle reminding us of the credits from the series? Did you do it yourself?
Well,
I
think that's from Dominique.
That's from Dominique. The truth of the matter is, well, we worked together.
Yeah, we
on
worked
it.
together on it. We rushed that, actually. All those little pieces that you hear throughout, the one that is kind of similar to sort of the intro to the episode music, like what happened last week. That was from the later seasons of KnotsLanding. We tried to recreate that, and then we also recreated the stuff for the letters from the sack and all the stuff.
And maybe
it
we
happened
can
really quick.
Yeah, we could probably do a more zhuzhed up version too for season 2.
We were rushing this podcast to begin as soon as possible back in August, end of August,
because we had been talking about this for a long time, and then it was kind of like, when are we going to get off our what?
Yeah.
And then when they decided to put on Plex, we thought, well, we better just like do it now because
so the music was
perfect
really
timing.
rushed, probably all in one day. So I think even the recording of it could have been better quality. So I will try to find some time to maybe finesse that.
Amp it up a few. Ooh, I think we're almost down to the nitty gritty. Viewer question: what's behind the curtain? Well, I'll tell you what's behind the curtain. This is our DJ setup in here. This is where our DJ decks are, turntables, records.
It's just kind of unsightly,
Yeah.
From,
This room has been set up originally.
This is the dreaming room. You're in the dreaming room.
You're in the dreaming room. This is where
Multi-purpose.
we do like DJ sets, and this is the newly inspired dreaming room of 2024. In the closet, we put a whole kind of like our DJ setup in there so that it's kind of away.
So now the way it works is that we can film this way, which you're seeing right now, or we can film this way. And so it's more versatile, and we can do more things like the podcast and also our dreaming room. I don't know if you were able to catch, I know obviously Dominique, one of our watchers of Seaview Circle, she is also a fan of the dreaming room. So when we did the Halloween watch along episode of the Three Sisters, we segued into a live dreaming room.
Yeah, we did a Halloween party.
So we'll probably do another dreaming room, probably not until January.
And those parties, just so you know, we've been doing those on Twitch. I don't know about that dreaming room happening this month. Just being real,
Yeah, I don't know
the
about
month is evaporating quickly.
It sure is. And there's again, like we say, there's a lot going on. Now, also in those extra viewer questions, obviously we talked about other podcasts that we watch or listen to, which was content that wasn't necessarily related to Knots Landing, which is also why we have cut some of the content from our interview with Diane Letoulier, right?
Yeah.
She is the compiler and editor of the Knots Landing cookbook, Knots Landing Recipes and Memories, and also the creator and moderator of the popular Facebook group Knots Landing Chronicles. So we wanted to present to you, as part of this leftover episode, a couple more moments with Diane Letoulier. Let's hear what else the three of us had to chat about.
I've never been to the cul-de-sac. I'm ashamed to say, I don't know how this is possible, but I take the 118 to my mom's, and it's just, I'm always in a rush, or, so I would love to go. We should have a block party there.
Yes.
We totally could do it.
We actually, as we were kind of setting up, there was a neighbor came out, not out of one of the houses, but he's just like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" We're like, "Oh, we're filming some."
He's like, "Are you guys from England?" I'm like, "No."
Oh, you could have pretended to be.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking maybe my weird accent might have come out. I lived in the UK for 12 years, so.
Oh, you did? Oh, how wonderful.
I lived the entire 90s in the UK. So I don't...
He didn't know who Martha Stewart was.
Yeah,
he didn't know who Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were.
Yeah, I didn't know who any of these people were. There's some things that make it over there, but then there's a lot of things that don't, like movies.
What about well, Knots Landing you would have known already, but didn't you say you used to watch Dallas in London?
Actually, that's when I started watching. I watched Dallas a little bit when I was growing up, like just the big episodes, the Who Killed JR, Who Shot JR.
Right.
Sorry. When I lived in the UK, I was so starved for American content on TV. So when they had added this fifth channel, a lot of the shows were things like, it was Baywatch, which I watched it. Right. I mean, as stupid as it was, I loved watching. I was like, California, Zilla Beach. And then I would see, and then they would show Dallas, and they would show the other one was just soap operas like Sunset Beach and things like that. So I was just soaking it all in and just, anyway.
General Hospital is very big in the UK, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think so. Cool. Yeah, and I love British television. I go seek out Acorn and BritBox, and I love my British TV and my British actor accent, Scottish, Irish. I love that. Yeah. Except Johnny Rourke's fake accent. All
right. Diane, can you tell us a little bit more about that journey of connecting with some of the guest stars and the actors from Knots Landing, how you made those connections for the book?
Yes, so it was a dream come true, of course, going to the two events at Oscars. And the first time I went 5 years ago, I had to get back. I had something the next day and I did not have a hotel room. But I remember they had a VIP. It was before COVID. And I was hanging out. Donna and Larry brought their wine. And I made them a plaque that had pictures of all the different Knots Landing groups on Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, cool.
So they each got a plaque. And I just wanted to hang out. I got to meet Larry and got to meet Joan's husband, John Marshall. And I didn't want to go home, but I had to drive home, at 1:00 in the morning from Palm Springs. And it was magical. And just to get to meet them and keep in touch with them. We follow, Joan's not on social media, but Donna and Michelle follow my Knots Landing Instagram group, and just lovely people. And then I got to meet Paul.
Funny, his wife is a good friend of mine. So in fact, that was a new reveal out of the blue.
Because Paul hadn't talked to the ladies in years and years, I got Paul invited to a holiday party several years ago where he got to reunite with Donna, Joan, and Michelle. Awesome. And David Jacobs, before he passed away. So that was great that they got to do that. And then Claudia and I met on Instagram. Claudia and I know a lot of the same people. She lives in, I guess, the SoCal area. She's very outspoken. She makes fun of Diana all the time. And Lar Park Lincoln is in some of our Knots groups, and the young man who played Bobby Ewing, Christian Cousins. He was in briefly. I think he might still be in a couple of the groups.
Well, so now I'm going to go away from the cookbook, but I want to talk to you just about current television programs that you might be into, and if any of those remind you of Knots Landing.
Good question. Awesome. You guys, all your questions are awesome. And that one, it's so surreal because during COVID, like who didn't sit there and binge and looking for like a comfort show? And, I'm a hardcore binger. I remember when I was sick many years ago and I watched Game of Thrones. Like I forget where it led up to, but I think I watched like 4 seasons in a couple weeks. And I had nothing else to do. But
that was us with True Blood during COVID.
Yes,
we
and
watched
True Blood.
all of it, right?
We missed it the first time around, and then like his sister was always like, "Why aren't you watching it?" And I think we didn't. We were just like we weren't into the straight up vampire story. So like,
well, I am.
Poo-pooed it, but
I
we loved it.
We actually love New Orleans and Louisiana as well. So that was like for us. I was like, oh right, we're here. We're in.
Yeah.
We're
It's
in.
Funny.
Well, and it was filmed here.
Yeah,
it was filmed here.
A lot of it was filmed here.
Oh, and when I would go to on the 101 South. South past Canaan, and there'd be signs that would say True Blood. Like it was filmed off of places off of Canaan somewhere, a lot of things.
It was filmed in Long Beach too,
Yeah, we used to go to this bar all the time. We had no idea, and then we started watching the show. We're like, oh, that's Alex's bar.
Oh,
million times.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, they would use that for the
Fantasia.
Yeah, and I didn't want to forget to mention, I'm kind of all over the place, but the Gary Ewing Ranch is about 10 minutes from me on Hidden Valley Road, and it keeps going for sale, and people buy it and sell it. I don't know what's up with that property, but it was also in Gilmore Girls, which is another very, very favorite show of mine. And Scott Patterson, who played Luke, almost joined our lodge here, our Elks Lodge. He must live over here. He was trying to get his coffee, Luke's Diner coffee, out there. But that's a huge favorite, Gilmore Girls. I'm a huge, Supernatural fan in terms of, I don't know if you guys know who Mike Flanagan is. I love Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass.
Yeah,
adore Mike Flanagan.
Yeah. Awesome stuff.
We love
every
that.
time.
I keep hoping there's going to be a new one soon too.
But I love how he takes interpretations of different shows. Like Bly was a compilation of Henry James and the Edgar Allan Poe,
right.
The Usher.
All the House of
that was crazy interpretation of those Edgar Allan Poe stories.
That was excellent.
I like the ensemble aspect too, where he keeps using the same people.
Yes, I love that too. I love Henry Thomas. I love all of his shows. I watched those over and over. Killing Eve was such a great show.
Oh yes.
Your Honor with Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
We're pretty in sync.
We're in sync. We just finished last night was Sweet Pea. Have you seen that?
No, I've heard about it though.
It's good.
It's good. With Ella Purnell, who is in Yellow Jackets, and I don't know if you watched Yellow Jackets at all.
No, but another good show you
Fallout.
It's called from Fallout.
Fallout. Yeah, she's in Fallout too.
Love Foundation and Love From on MGM.
Oh, I've heard about that. Okay. Yeah,
it's very good. It's very Salem's Lot-ish.
Oh, I think I would love it.
Yeah. So it's very good.
So Supernatural is we like all that kind of stuff too.
For sure. Thank you, Diane, for taking time out of your busy holiday schedule to chat with us. We had a really fun time with that interview, and we hope to have you back sometime in the future, maybe to talk about a particular favorite episode that we might be covering in a future podcast. That would be a lot of fun.
Or maybe do a watch along or something.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if you notice in that interview, Diane told us about how she had met some KnotsLanding cast members or contacted some of them so that she could get recipes from them for her cookbook. And coincidentally, Doug and I, your Seaview Circle hosts, recently had the chance to meet and interact with some of the KnotsLanding cast members as well. This was at the Hollywood show in Burbank. Doug, you want to tell us a little bit about the Hollywood show?
Well, the Hollywood show, it started off as a different name before it was the Hollywood Collector Show for many, many years. But I guess in probably the last 5 years, it's been known as the Hollywood Show. It's usually at the Burbank Airport Marriott. I think they do some around the country, though. Other areas too, but at least here in LA, that's kind of been its home. It went away for a little while and came back, but so we have been before in the past to a few of these kind of autograph collector shows.
If you check out our TikTok, we've been putting up some of those little shorts from previous visits to the Hollywood Collector Show that have nothing to do with Knots Landing, but we're also putting up some from our recent visit as well.
Yeah. So this was fun. We hadn't been for a while, and we wanted to go because we knew that the ladies of Knots Landing were going to be there.
Originally, 6 Knots Landing cast members were going to be there.
We were so excited.
We were so excited.
Because we really did want to meet, I wanted to meet Michelle Phillips because, again, I'm a big Mamas and Papas fan.
Right.
Plus, I loved her in Knots Landing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the fires were impacting everything.
The fires
so
were
not everybody could make it.
Literally in the days leading up to the Hollywood show, and we were not really sure whether or not it was going to happen or not. Now, Burbank, if you're not familiar with the LA area, Burbank isn't an area that is near mountains, and that is really where a lot of these fires are happening, the mountains. But that area did not have any threats of fire at that time, and I think there had been a fire there.
Yeah, I think there had been one a few
not
weeks
too
before
long
that.
ago. Yeah,
but
so whenever there's a fire that kind of decimates the foliage, then that means that area is kind of safe for a little bit, to be honest.
And honestly, that week that this was all happening, everybody's freaked out because you didn't know whether you had to evacuate at a moment's notice or not. So we were like, well, we'll go. Maybe we won't go. Maybe it's not going to be on.
Literally until the day of whether or not we were going to go. And we were watching to see who was canceling. So a lot of the stars were impacted by the fires.
Now, I do know that Michelle Lee had been there the night before.
Right.
Because they were doing the special Friday night thing for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But on the Saturday, she was not able to come because I guess she was affected by the fire, the evacuation.
Sure.
So,
sure.
But it was a good
The fire pretty much
turnout.
decimated all of the Palisades and also was encroaching in on areas of Brentwood and Santa Monica. And so some of our Knots Landing cast members live in these areas. And it was great that the people that came out were there. I think it really helped to boost people's morale a little bit.
I thought there was a pretty good turnout, though, still overall. I would say this, probably it was definitely a little bit more quiet. I mean, that's what I found interesting when we got to go speak to the ladies at Knots Landing. Normally the lines are pretty long and you'd have to wait a good 30 minutes even to just get up to talk to them or try to get an autograph or something. But I mean, I think we just walked up and we got to speak to Kathleen Noone right away. We were just chatting to her, and
she's lovely.
Really
she's lovely.
sweet.
The first time meeting Kathleen Noone, we'd actually already met Joan Van Ark and Donna Mills before. We should note that in addition to Michelle Phillips canceling and Michelle Lee canceling, Stacey Galena, who played Kathleen Noone's daughter, Kate, she also was not there. Now,
I guess she lives in Atlanta,
they
said.
That's what Kathleen told us. She lives in Atlanta,
so
and
she
was
wasn't
ill,
yeah,
and so she couldn't make the flight. So that was a bummer that all 6 of them weren't there for this panel discussion, which would have been amazing.
The panel discussion was great because we had the 3.
Yeah.
But can you imagine having everybody there?
Wow.
I mean, my God, that's just super cool.
We did get a photo with Kathleen, Donna, and Joan, which was really, really fun. And we did, again, speak to Kathleen for a little bit and met her and got her autograph, right?
Yeah, and again, she was super cool.
Yeah.
I think what's so weird is I didn't really realize that I was a fan of hers on Sunset Beach too, because I never really knew who was on that, but looking at all the pictures, I was like, oh yeah, she was in that. Actually,
didn't she
I remember
have episodes with the chimpanzee?
I think so, and I think that's what I was really into. I mean, I watched it for a hot 6 months because that's all it was on in UK TV. But yeah, so it was good to meet them. What was kind of great too was that there were some other really influential people there that I wanted to see. There was, is it Sid Croft? Yeah. So Sid Croft was there, along with the woman who played Holly on Land of the Lost.
Yes.
So they were kind of
we love a good Land of the Lost.
Yes, I love Land of the Lost. Chaka Adi. They were sitting next to each other and selling their merch. Now, I was I'd spent enough cash, so I was I'm not getting, it gets a little awkward there too, because you want to chat to these people, but then you also feel obligated, well, maybe I have to get an autograph or a photograph. And their autographs and photographs are not cheap. And you know what? I don't necessarily want somebody's autograph.
Right.
I'd rather talk.
Especially if we already have the autograph. We already have an autograph photo of Donna, Michelle, and Joan from many years ago. So I didn't necessarily need another autograph photo of Donna Mills, but I still wanted to support her. She actually had a donation jar
Yeah.
for the fires. So I just donated to that.
I did talk to her a little bit
Yeah.
about, because I know where she lives too is very close to where I had a listing. And I think
Right.
I probably mentioned this before. You know, I met her the one time she came to my open house too,
Right.
and I bought wine from
Larry.
from Larry, her husband, and for using that as a showcase for
Yeah.
Mandeville Canyon, which is the area. So
Which was
anyway,
threatened by the fire, and luckily her home and the vineyards are safe.
yeah, I think it was it goes really far up. Mandeville Canyon, I forget, it was like 7 miles or something. So she's not that far up, but like way up is where the fires were really impacting that whole area.
That was a tense night, and it was actually the day of the Hollywood show.
It was crazy.
So,
All we did is watch fires.
you know, I have to really give a lot of credit to Donna Mills for having the headspace to be dealing with all of that and watching that. There's an app that's called Watch Duty.
Yeah.
And it shows kind of like current status of any of the fires in Los Angeles, and also what's happening with the fire department, what utilities they're using to get the fire under control. So she's watching that and able to do a Q&A where I think she delivered some really nice answers.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I really,
Yeah.
I
We're
really
some of
enjoyed
that in just a
I
little
don't
bit.
think I've ever gone to any of these Q&A things that they've ever done at
Yeah.
these things. And maybe, you know what, in the olden days, they probably didn't do that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think now that whoever those new owners have been, that's kind of a thing that they do. So I would say that's something that I think is a really good bonus for when you go to this thing. You have to pay like $30
It's
to
$30
get in,
to get in, and as we said, the autographs can be pricey, but the Q&A is free to attend once you
Yes,
have
I mean,
to,
I think for
pay
$30,
the
just
entrance.
you pay $30 and you want to walk around and buy some stuff, maybe some like merchandise or like, I bought this great shirt
Yes,
from
yes.
Vintage Los Angeles.
Yeah,
which,
shout out
to Allison Martino. I'll make sure we tag her on this.
Sure.
But I really enjoy her blog or whatever, and her Instagram page and stuff. She focuses on really cool stuff here in LA, and so I wanted to support her. I heard that she was going to be there selling stuff.
She's been covering a lot of the vintage Hollywood homes, the historic Hollywood homes that have been affected by this fire. Obviously, our heart goes out to anybody who lost their home. So many families have suffered from this devastating fire that has just completely decimated most of the Pacific Palisades, and also a lot of Malibu along PCH. And then, of course, also the city of Altadena, which
Big
is just
area.
really devastating. So many homes.
Yeah, that's like one of our
were
favorite
destroyed.
little areas, to be quite honest.
It really
We
is.
love
It's
that
got
area.
so much beautiful, natural beauty in the area, great hikes, but then the homes are so beautiful. All these historic homes, large craftsman homes with, what do you call that? River rock.
Yeah, they used a giant river stone and
yeah.
like craftsmen and all.
So I just want to say, we've really been trying to find the status of some of these big, classic homes, historic homes, find the status. Were they destroyed? Were they not? And we do have confirmation at this point that the home used in the Knots Landing episode, The Three Sisters, was absolutely devastated by the fire. There is a website from the LA County government which actually shows photographs house by house to show how much damage there is. Now, I don't know if you remember, but a couple months ago, we visited the house.
Yeah, we did it when we did the watch along for the Three
Three
Sisters.
Sisters.
So it
And-
was kind of weird for me because I'd never been to that
Yeah.
street either. And then now that I saw what we saw on the website, where it's literally like the whole neighborhood's gone.
The whole
It's
street
unbelievable.
pretty much is completely gone. Now, luckily, the facade of that beautiful 1915 Spanish Revival home is made out of stone, and so it is still there. And hopefully whoever owns that house will refurbish it and build into it. But of course, even those interiors were so iconic.
Yeah, it's
you
hard.
see them in Knots Landing, you see them in a couple of the other shows.
Hacks.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be able to restore that.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to pay a little tribute to it. We're going to show that clip again from our visit to the Three Sisters back in October of 2024. But again, the sad part to know is that there might be one other house in the block that was untouched completely, but the rest of them are all, across the street and on the side of the street of this house, they're all gone completely. All those trees. Gone.
Sad. Very sad.
All right, so now, this is our standard list of questions we ask for every episode. The next question is, any filming location stand out?
Well, besides the cul-de-sac,
there's only one film location, and so we thought that would be a fitting topic for this week's Untying the Knot.
In this segment, we take deep dives into a specific production aspect of the series, or perhaps provide a bio of a fan favorite cast member.
This time out, though, we are going to do something a little different.
Seeing that we're in Southern California.
Yeah, we're going to get out of the studio, and we're just going to pop on over to Laura's house listing. Let's go.
Let's go see what she's got. I heard there was a broker's open today.
Oh, okay.
So let's go see what's going on. Voila! We are here in Altadena at the Three Sisters house.
It's Laura's Broker's Open.
Yes, it's Laura's Broker's Open.
And my agent is here. And
I'm going to just tell you a little bit about the house. It was built in 1915. It's 5 beds, 6 baths. It's over 7,000 square feet. Back in 2000, I think it was sold for $1.5 million. So at this point, it's probably worth about $5 million plus.
Wow, it's a beautiful neighborhood. Very quiet.
And it's been used
lots of trees.
Several TV shows and movies through the years. Most recently, it's been featured as Deborah Vance's house on Hacks. It's her LA residence. It's been used in a show called Runaways on Hulu, which I haven't seen.
Also, we're Ratchet, right?
Ratchet as well. But in 1921, it was used in a movie called 7 Years Bad Luck, featuring Max Linder. And you can see that online.
Silent film.
Silent movie. You can see a little bit of exteriors and I think mostly interiors on that. We're going to take a little snoop around. I mean, the gates are open. We don't want to get in trouble, but we will try to see what we can see.
Well, thank you, Doug, for all the information and for the little
welcome.
tour. It's been wonderful to visit this space right here in Southern California. And now back to the show.
So we want to actually give you a little bit of an update on other KnotsLanding film locations. To the best of my research, I can't completely verify. Obviously, if you live in Los Angeles, you're not able to go into these communities because they're still testing them, for safety and health concerns. People who want to rebuild, they want to get back as soon as possible, but the county obviously is stopping people from getting back in there. We do know that much of Altadena, the main kind of thoroughfare there, is a lot of it's been destroyed. A lot of those businesses as well that we used to go to, which is really sad. But going back over to the Malibu side, happily, I don't think that Abby and Gary's Malibu beach house, which was kind of near, just south of Paradise Cove, Latigo Beach,
Latigo Canyon,
that appears to be untouched by the fires. So is when Abby was single, she divorced Gary when she lived at the other beach house, which is actually the historic Adamson house. That also has been spared. I think there is a little bit of damage, smoke inhalation or smoke damage in the bedroom, I heard, but I think the structure is okay. Up in Granada Hills, where, of course, the cul-de-sac is, and the Knollwood Shopping Center, there was a fire up there for a while. And it's very windy up there, as you know.
It's always windy there.
But all of those locations are fine and intact. We also wanted to say, as a little extra tidbit here, we didn't ever throw this into our episodes for season 1, but we did also recently visit another filming location used in season 1. This is where Gary takes Val to this little center to take her GED exam where she passes. And you had thought that it was the Knollwood Methodist United Church, and it is verified that that is
I verified that because, I'm just saying, I drive past there like all the time, like several times a month, because I take my mom to the doctor up there. So I have to go up Balboa. So every time I see it, I go, wow, that's such a cool building. Yeah. And then that's why I always noticed it.
So we went and recently checked it out. I will say that the school area has changed a little bit, and there is some sort of structure, like a trailer, which is kind of blocking the access to get the exact shot of the view that they used in the show. But it's still there, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, so going back to the Hollywood show, I will say, again, we're talking about it. The best part of it was definitely the Q&A panel with the ladies from KnotsLanding. Of course, it would have been great to have Michelle Lee there, Michelle Phillips, Stacey Galena. But we did have a great time with Donna, Joan, and Kathleen. They answered some of our questions, actually.
Yes, it was shocking.
So let's take a look at some of that footage that we culled together from our visit to the Hollywood show.
course. But no, it never really is. I would never, that was the thing too. On days that I'd have scenes like that, I stayed away for sure because I was behind a flat somewhere back of this set, jogging in place, trying to get up to speed to do it. But that is one of the memorable scenes, and no, it wasn't.
I think that she wanted to slap to me.
Yes! That's the truth. Yes, I did. Who wants to be sitting even next to, no one, no woman.
And Michelle Phillips was wonderful to work with. We just had such a good time together. It came to the work with joy, because we could both play bitches, but aside from that, we were having a good time with one another. And again, as a testament to what you were talking about, that camaraderie that the show built, that enabled you, once you got used to each other's rhythm and began to know each other, you were able then to have that free flow, which an actor wants. There comes a point you gotta look at the script, you study your lines, you research it, do whatever you need to do, begin exploring and playing, and then you must put all of that aside, and then let the creative juices take over, and then see where those sparks are going to come in, and play off each other, and have more fun with each other. That's what brings the extra elements of interest to anything an actor does on the stage. It's working in that vibration of creativity, and you have to be in a trusting place to do that.
When you first took the role and you were going to audition, you didn't know what KnotsLanding was.
No, you're right, I didn't. That was in the cards from the beginning. She was designed to stir up the trouble on KnotsLanding. So I knew that. That's why I went after the role. Because I've been playing Miss Goody Two Shoes for a long time, the all-American blonde, and I was really sick of it. I was sick of it because 9 times out of 10, that role is a victim as a woman. She's either, hit or raped or, something. So I was really tired of playing that. I wanted to play a woman who had some control over her life, everything. And I saw a breakdown of this character. And I said, that's the character, that's what I want to play. And I told my agent, and they called him and they said, Donna, she doesn't have to come in and read or anything. We know her, we'll consider her. And I knew they wouldn't really consider me because they didn't think I could play that hard, tough woman.
Boy, did you show.
And so I bugged him and bugged him and bugged him. My agent bugged him and bugged him. And he finally said, oh, God, let her come in and read, which I did. And an hour after the reading, they called me and said I had to go. So, one of my favorites is the one that ends with the line, and by the way, don't call me Cookie.
Brilliant.
I love that, and I love that scene, because that scene with Howard Duff was somebody saying, women should be in the kitchen and not in business, and, all that, and I think it bespeaks a lot of what's going on today in the world, so, and it has been for a long time, but that was, I think, very relevant.
I want to acknowledge these two ladies. I was on the last 3 seasons after they had already set the benchmark for what KnotsLanding was going to be. So I was very blessed and being able to step on into that atmosphere of people, because I came from New York City, and this was like, I thought when I landed in Los Angeles that I landed on Mars. And I mean that in comparison to the 2 cities. And if it had not been for the support of Michelle and Joan, and I think you need to know she is a wonderful director. When she director, you did. You directed one of the shows I was on, and you were so caring and supportive and encouraging. And that's who you are. And I can tell you with that, John and I, we never had a chance to work together. But for me, I came into a team of people that were very supportive. Knowing that this was new, it was all new to me. Shooting that is very different from shooting a daytime soap on theater back in New York. So the fact that they welcomed me and helped me get my feet, I'm forever so appreciative of that. So I think you're right. It is nice to see that there's a resurgence and a reinterest in this show, and it should be, because it was a good show, a wonderful show to work.
So that was a lot of fun to meet the ladies of KnotsLanding in the panel discussion. We were able to ask Kathleen Noone about working alongside Lorenzo Caciolanza, who played the affable Nick Scalacci, a.k.a. Dimitri, and also ask Joan about one of our favorite episodes, The Perfect Crime, in which Joan gave a stellar performance alongside Terry Austin, who was traumatizing poor Val to vicious ends. Just so you know, I think over on the Hollywood Show website and also on their Instagram, they note that Michelle Phillips' current status is postponed, which means perhaps she'll return to the next show. We should definitely...
We'll go. I'll be there if she's there. I'm going.
So you can check out their website. I'll have the link here listed below, and you always can go to their Instagram to see what the roster is for the next show. I'm not sure. Maybe it's in April.
I was going to say, is that April? Okay.
Yeah, or maybe June. It might be even June.
It would be great if it's in June, if it's Michelle Phillips.
Yeah. Also, want to let you know that some of our additional content from our visit to the Hollywood Show will appear in shorts over on our TikTok and on our YouTube. They may already have some there right now already that you can check out. I also wanted to mention we met Steve Cohan. Steve Cohan, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He's the guy that creates those cool KnotsLanding shirts that have like the cul-de-sac, and he also has some that are like say like KnotsLanding motors.
Yeah,
with
the
logo.
KnotsLanding motor logo.
Yeah, or he's going to do one with Lotus Point. So Steve, I want the Lotus Point.
Yeah, and you know what's cool is they were like long sleeves. I did like the KnotsLanding logo one with a cul-de-sac.
Yeah,
it's very stylish, long sleeve, black, white writing.
Yeah.
Cool. I would definitely rock that. So I want to get one.
Well, I think that's pretty much the end of our leftovers.
No, I think you forgot something.
Oh, there's more?
What about the letters from the sack?
Oh,
Do we have any?
the sack.
You forgot.
How could I forget?
Well,
Okay.
It's been about a month, so you know.
Well, let's
It's
do
okay.
it.
Okay, you got one? Give it to me, baby.
All right. So this is from Spotify. You want to read this? Can you read it?
Sure, I can read it.
It's the one on the top. Okay.
Okay.
So this is in reference to the KnotsLanding Season 1 episode Small Surprises, the one in which the main storyline was that Karen found out that she was pregnant and she was surprised by that.
Well, this is published 2 days ago by Soft Spoken.
Soft Spoken.
They say, Eric wasn't just shy. He was freaked out because unwanted pregnancy was a reality in his life. That made him act the way he did about hooking up, I believe. He saw firsthand how dangerous it was to not play it safe sexually. Well, I never.
That is a hot take. Soft spoken. That is. We did not put that into context. We thought they were just young teen kids. Jill was a mover and a shaker, and Eric was just a little bit, a little shy. But that's absolutely correct, right? He sees in the morning, it's discovered that his mother is pregnant, and he's like, I don't want to make Jill pregnant, right?
Yeah,
that
I'm not
makes
doing
perfect
that.
sense. That makes perfect sense.
Who wants a baby at this age?
at Karen's age or at Eric's age?
No, yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I did want to mention also in reference to our Spotify comments, we read a bunch of them in our last episode, the wrap up of season 1. But one person that I keep forgetting to mention is John Douglas, who comments on a lot of our stuff. He's actually over on the Facebook group as well. So he's commented throughout the season, but I did want to mention this one. 12 days ago, John said, I have to wait until March? No! Can't wait for you all to dissect Abby. So delicious.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be fun. I'm excited about that, too.
Is the perfect segue for us closing out this episode. So, Doug, what's coming up next
Well,
on Seaview
let's
Circle?
see. Coming up next on Seaview Circles, Sid is accused of rape by a hitchhiker. Meanwhile, his younger sister, Abby Cunningham, arrives at Knots Landing.
Finally.
Finally.
Well, we will see you then
Back on
on the sack.